Okay, today we're going to talk about the guitar. So I'm excited for this video because the Synclavier has a big history with famous guitarists. So there's no reason why we can't partner the guitar with Regen. And we're going to show you, me and my assistant Renee, are going to show you two examples of products on the market today that will make it quite easy for you to link your Regen with a guitar. The two options we're going to show you, there's pros and cons. So what we'll do is we'll go through the setup and then Renee will play a little bit for us and we'll discuss that, and of course we've got different prices and stuff like that, and then we'll talk about maybe some other options that we haven't got here, and we'll sum it up. Okay, let's get into it. So we've got our Regen here on this stand, and then the first setup I'm going to show you is based around this app on an iPad, and you can get it on an iPhone, which is called MIDI Guitar 2 by Jam Origin. So what this does is basically convert the signals from a typical guitar pickup into a MIDI signal. It's free to try, so you can evaluate it for you and your setup and your guitar and see how well it works. And then I believe it's about 40 US to upgrade to something that doesn't just annoy you every few minutes. It's ported from their PC software, which is $150 or something like that. So always look at iPad apps for audio stuff, and often they're better value. And if you've got an iPhone, even more convenient. Really, it's quite portable. So on here, if you want to zoom in, there's lots of settings to do with how fast it tracks, how much noise it rejects, and obviously trying to avoid things like ghost notes. Gain settings and things like that. Different tunings if you've got your guitar tuned in a different way. So here I've just used an audio interface, so I've set up my input to come from my mini fuse, which is the Arturia mini fuse there, and then my output goes back to it. So this is just processing the guitar into MIDI basically, with, as I say, all that configuration, the options you've got. So leave that running. Here we've got the power connected as usual through the camera kit, and then the camera kit, you don't need it on the newer ones, the USB-C ones, but on these guys that kind of converts this from a USB client into a USB hub, and then this one goes into the hub connection. So these audio interfaces, if you don't already have one, about $120, $150 let's say. And if you were just using guitar, you could get away with the Mini Fuse 1, which has got one input. I've got a stereo one here, but clearly with guitar you don't need that. So the guitar's coming in here. I've put the guitar button on so that the impedance is matched, and then I get my gain loud enough for this iPad app to understand it, but not to clip. And of course you could use any electric guitar or like I think they call them a semi-acoustic, where you've got a pickup, but with the acoustic you're gonna hear the strings too. With this one you've got the option. With this you could mix in some of the guitar sound and some of the Regen sound, or just have full Regen sound. So on here I've put the volume to max. I'm using both pickups, and we can try using different ones. So what's happening is, that comes in. This one is the one connected to the iPad, so that goes off, does the processing and sends it back out through the 5-pin MIDI, and then the 5-pin MIDI is connected to the Regen. I think it sounds more complicated than it is. You don't really need a lot of gear. And then this one, if you've got a guitar, you've probably got a guitar amp. We've just put the audio to go straight to the guitar amp. The audio you're going to get at most of these timbres are stereo, and so we can record that in stereo later. So that's the setup. nature's coming through on that one more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the attack's different.
Yeah. Makes you play differently every way that you every new sound makes you make.
So setup number 2 is with this guitar. On here, I'm going to pick up the guitar and you can get a close-up. It's kind of a simpler setup in a way. This is called a Fishman TRIPLEPLAY pickup. And this is the Connect one. So this one has got the pickup here, talks to the brain there, and it comes out of the USB cord. And it comes USB MIDI, so that goes straight into the Regen. On the Regen you've got a hub for 4 USB ports, so you could have 4 of your buddies with one of these play quite easily with not much equipment at all. But there is a cost to this. This one is $350 US. They do a wireless one that connects over Bluetooth. I can't speak to the wireless one. This one it seems a little bit delicate. Certainly the build quality isn't the same quality as Regen. A little bit plasticky. You don't want to be a bit careful with it. And if you're the type of person that sort of throw your guitar around at gigs, you might want to invest in a backup. So it could get quite costly. Now with this one, I would recommend what the advantage I guess is over a dedicated pickup like this is that there's a microphone for every string, and so all of these strings are individually detected in terms of where they're fretted, and that basically avoids more ghost notes and it's a more accurate response. And Renee can speak to that a little bit later, which one he prefers playing. Also there's custom buttons here. One idea would be to set that to a mod wheel, or certainly with Regen, lots of the timbres on there, lots of the presets are so responsive to the mod wheel that it would be a shame to lose that from a keyboard. So you could have that on a foot pedal and send that in, or you could use these things. You'd have to work your way around it, and the more you got into it, the more you would do that. Or you would just set the mod wheel to your desired position to start with, and then shred. So that's that, but you get a tool with this. You get different levels of pickup, and you get a tool with this to set the strings correctly. So just put this on a flat surface, get a little screwdriver and make sure these strings, now you've got to kind of do 2 things now. You've got to kind of make sure the strings are good for your guitar pickups, and then they're supposed to be a millimetre above these pickups. And I do recommend doing that because the signal levels can change so drastically if they're too high and stuff. Or also you could get buzzing if they were too close. So it takes a little bit of time to set that up, but it's worth the investment. And then you can again mix in your guitar sound with that sound. Again, we've got this is the setup. This goes into the Regen USB, and if you go on Regen, we can see we've got the TRIPLEPLAY Connect MIDI, and that's on. It's not MPE because we've not configured it to MPE, but it does do pitch bend. And then this one going out, so this guitar amp happens to have a line in, so you can take straight from Regen. Some guitar amps just have a guitar level in, so you won't be able to use a guitar amp. But anyway, you've got a stereo output from here. So that's a setup. We're going to let Renee play a little bit with this. I should say an app comes with this too. So again, if you've got an iPad, you are going to want to use, it's really designed for that you'd set up again, all of the variables. I'll quickly show you on the iPad, and it can talk to it, and that's where you set up the string levels and stuff like that. In fact, you can do quite a lot. This is a TRIPLEPLAY Connect app. You don't have to use this to play, but this is where you set up all the sensitivities. You plug your iPhone straight into that, it will detect it, and then you're going to make sure each string is coming up a certain sensitivity. And then when you're in the app, you can set up different zones to play different instruments within this app. But what we're going to do is put the app to one side. I've set that up already. And again, it's worth the investment to set that up. I'm going to put that to one side, and we're just going to connect this to Regen, and we're going to listen to the sounds on Regen.
Tricky when changing chords.
Yeah.
As soon as you release it, it goes down to. Trying to play For Your Love.
I thought it was Deep Purple you were playing, was it? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Or it started to sound like.
No, it's the House of the Rising Sun.
Yes. I'm not sure. I would just have to figure out how to play each one individually.
Well,
It's like
it's learning each sound. Okay, well, thanks goes to Renee for playing for us. So Renee, you're a competent guitarist, but how did you find your first experience with playing a synth through a guitar?
Yeah, it was great. It was the latency. There was no latency, first of all, which was nice. And the sounds were crisp. They were great. And I didn't find it any different than playing through like an effects pedal. It was a little slightly different, but
sure.
Same idea. I mean, you have to work with the effects and their different characteristics, so it was super easy to use. Yeah.
Perfect. And if you had to pick one that you could take home today, I mean, is there a preference between the two different interfaces?
Yeah, I would probably tend to use that when it comes to, I just like that it has the pickup on it. I find that that would probably eliminate most of the latency anyways, going right from the instead of having to go through an audio interface, but I didn't see much of a difference through either one.
No, it's surprising how good the iPad one is. And one thing I didn't mention was with that interface, you could potentially use it for other things than stringed instruments. You could use it for, I don't know, a saxophone or a wind instrument to convert the sound basically into MIDI. Don't know what the results would be like, but you could certainly try it. With this one, you're limited to, I think that they do a product for a bass, which would be interesting as well, a bass guitar, maybe a banjo as well. And you're spending a little bit more money, particularly if you don't already have an iPad. You're spending a chunk of change, but the convenience, as you say, is good, and you can get a super long cable that's not going to kind of unplug. In fact, you can put this into, you can kind of wrap it around the where the strap goes if you're worried about that, potentially for gigging and stuff. But you would have to, as you were alluding to, you kind of have to learn each sound a little bit when you play this. You can't just jump into a new preset because you have to kind of learn how to play.
Yeah, it was a little bit different with each sound, but that's all part of the experimenting process. That's what is exciting about it.
That's what's interesting about it, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's what it's like. The other option, well, there's other options on the market. There's, I guess, guitars that are designed for MIDI. And they're quite expensive. They're like, we're talking $600, but their fretboard is just keys and touch sensitive surfaces. That's another option. And then of course, back in the day, people used a lot of the Roland, the GK Roland stuff, and a lot of that's still available. One of the advantages of that is not only has it got 6 pickups for the strings, but it outputs on 6 different MIDI channels. So then you can have each of your strings on the Regen. You can have the first 6 tracks, each being a different string, which means you could tune the timbre slightly different, because obviously if you fret the same note here and somewhere down here on a different string, it's got a different character to it. So you can kind of get into it more if you've got that kind of interface. But they're harder to come by, but on the used market you can get the look for the Roland GK synthesizers. And yeah, there's other options available. So these are the two that are kind of the most accessible and most versatile that we could get hold of for this video. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.